We've been going through the last days of Jesus' life. God's passion for you. God is what? He is crazy in love with you. He did some crazy things in these last hours. In fact, in his last hours, he said to his disciples, I desire to celebrate this Passover with you before I suffer. Little did they know what Jesus was about to go through. And then in the garden, remember, he prayed and pled with his Father, let this cup pass from me. Nevertheless, my will, not my will, but your will be done. And then he was arrested, you remember, and he went through those 7 trials, those phony trials that he went looking for something to hold against him. And they only came up with that he was the King of the Jews. And remember, he was silent through all of those 7 trials. And then last week, how Pilate turned and washed his hand and said, I am innocent of this man's blood. None of us are innocent of that man's blood. Today, I'm going to be sharing God's passion for us. It is finished. The last hours of Jesus' life. By the way, how many of you are Trailblazer fans? I thought there would be more than that, but I mean, it's okay to get on the bandwagon because, yeah, some of you may not know how historical this week was in the NBA playoffs for the Portland Trailblazers. Right, Matthew? Yeah. The Portland Trailblazers are the local NBA team, if you don't know. They have been in existence in 1971, that's right. And as a kid, I grew up watching the Trailblazers. Yep. But this year, they were matched up in the first round with the Oklahoma City Thunder, okay? Now, they used to be the Seattle Supersonics, but they moved to Oklahoma City. And in Oklahoma City, they've taken them on, but nobody in the Northwest, especially in Seattle, likes Oklahoma City anymore because they moved away, okay? So I'm just trying to get you up to date on this. The Thunder, during the regular season, beat the Trailblazers 4 times out of 4. And every game, it seemed like the Thunder would trash talk. And anybody know what I mean by trash talking? That means belittling and making fun of and really, you know what it's like, Jonathan, don't you? He does that all the time to me on the basketball court. The series began, okay, every game they would trash talk and they would be very physical with the Blazers. In fact, one time, they for no reason it seemed at all, one player pushed another down and it was awful. And there was they had built up quite an animosity towards one another. And so in my mind, after they lost that final game during the regular season, I said, I want to see the Oklahoma City Thunder in the playoffs, because it was time to get back at them. So when it came to matchups, I was hoping for that. The series began, a week before last, and they continued to trash talk through the first few games. And they would make fun of the Blazers, they would trash talk, but they were not very good examples for sportsmanship. And I said, it's time to shut up. So Damien Lillard, the star of the Blazers, told his teammates not to talk to the referees in response to the calls. In other words, don't argue with the referees or get back at them or whatever. Just keep it to yourself. And he said, don't talk to the Thunder players at all either when they talk bad about you. And he said, just the only people you need to be talking to is your teammates, and that's it. And they did. They did. The only people that you should talk to is your teammates. The last game, it looked like the Blazers were going to lose it. This was this week. I don't know if it was Tuesday or Monday. Monday, Tuesday? Somebody who know. This week, the game looked like it was the Blazers were going to lose. All the momentum had shifted to the Thunder, and they were 15 points down with less than 7 minutes to go. And everything was going OKC's way. And I thought to myself, well, it looks like the bad guys are going to win. And the Blazers continued to take Damien Lillard's counsel. They did not talk. They did not complain about whatever was happening. Only they did talk with their teammates. And then it happened. Then it happened. And if you weren't there to watch it, you'll have to just take my word for it. It was exciting. Because Damien Lillard took over the team and took it on his back and tied the score with 17 seconds left. 17 seconds left. The player that had been giving him the most trouble and making fun of him, he used to like this, like he was a baby, like rocking a baby every time he'd make a shot, made fun of Damien. Damien, the player, missed that shot, and the Blazers rebounded and gave it to Damien Lillard, and the next few moments are historical. He made his way down the court, crossed half court, and he stayed out near the center court. I mean, he's only like a few feet from the center court, and he's way, way out, 37 feet away from the basket. Okay? That's almost probably all the way here to the back wall. Now, how many of you can shoot from here and make a basket out there? Jonathan could, but I couldn't. And I thought, any moment, he's going to, the guy that was defending him, he was just going to drive around him and go make a basket. Any moment. But he didn't. The seconds were ticking away. And all of a sudden, he waited till the clock was almost done, and he rose up and shot it from 37 feet. And guess what? It went in. He made the basket, and the Blazers won. As Damien walked away, he waved goodbye to the Thunder team. Because he not only won the game, but he also won the playoff series. It was the last time they would see them this year. It was almost as if he had the last word, and he said, "It was finished." Watching the video of the reaction of the crowd was amazing. You could see as soon as the shot went off, everybody was silent. Not a word was said, and all they could do was just glue to watch the ball as it sailed through the air. It was like slow motion, like time it stood still, and it kept going and going. And then when it went in, it erupted in celebration and unbelief. It was finished. We won! So you say, what does basketball game have to do with the sermon today? Well, maybe nothing. But it was exciting if you're a Blazer fan. No, I got to thinking after that about my sermon in the last hours of Jesus' life. How he was made fun of. And how his enemies talked trash about him. When Jesus left Pilate, he was turned over to the Roman soldiers to be crucified. They led him to a hill outside of Jerusalem called Golgotha, Skull Hill. I've been there. It does look like a skull. In fact, I told you before about the white Jerusalem stone. It was quarried from this cliff, and you can look at the cliff and you can see it, and it looks like a white skull right there in the cliff. Skull Hill. It was a popular place to crucify people. There they laid him on the cross, and they nailed his hands and feet to it. Jesus, even though all the suffering and cruel treatment he was always thinking about others. On his way to Golgotha, he was being led out. The women that were near his route began to cry over his suffering. And Jesus paused in that great procession and noticed these women who were crying in sympathy for him. And he stopped and recognized that sympathy. And he said to them, "Do not weep for me. Weep for you and your children." For he has seen in the future in Jerusalem would be destroyed. And those very same women would be suffering from that destruction. Now Jesus was nailed to the cross. But he did not curse at the soldiers like the other two that were being crucified with him. No, he said, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do."
They were watching from a distance, and they could not take their eyes from you. You were bleeding, they were weeping. Faithful sisters, they had followed you. They did not understand, they could not see. They were mourning their loss as the sky turned black and the earth turned red at the foot of the cross. He was standing near your mother. They were so close they could hear you sighing. All around them angry voices pierced the darkness, and you were dying. But they would not leave, they lingered there, no matter the cost. They were staying, they were praying at the foot of the cross. Keep me near the cross, may I never stray so far that I cannot see what flowed down for me at the foot of the cross.